Doctors and nurses of Reddit, what have been your why didn't you come in sooner moments? Maggots. Whenever it's gotten to the point of maggots, it's like 100 alarm bells that this person's living situation is no bueno. The slashed doctor here. A farmer in his 70s reluctantly came in with his wife after falling over outside while wrangling a sheep 1 week earlier. He didn't want to be there but had been forced to come by his wife, who was worried about him. On questioning/examining, he was pale, short of breath, and clearly in pain all over the right side of his chest, but not wanting to show it. Spray and blood showed he'd broken loads of ribs, punctured his lung, and bored profusely into his chest, and was now very anaemic. Story from my Sil, who's a nurse. The young man was brought into the ear. He had a sinus infection that he had let go to the point that it had eaten through the skull and into this brain. She was told that it had started several months before. He didn't want to go to the doctor for it. All it would have needed was 10 days of antibiotic pill. Instead, he was not brought in until he was unconscious and died within a few hours. I've seen a few over the years, and they generally fall into the category of if it's not diagnosed, then I can't have it. Or I didn't think it was that bad. As a medical student, I remember an older lady that had a breast that was necrotic and falling off. It had been progressing over the last several years. But if she didn't get diagnosed with breast cancer, then she couldn't have it. In the other category, I've seen a few cases of Fournier's gangrene, pretty much obese male diabetics that had a pimple/sore that started in the pubic region. By the time they come to the hospital, it's a raging infection, where the treatment is basically to cut away everything in the pubic groin region down to the muscle there. The little sore didn't seem like much at first. My dad is the one that wouldn't go in. He got a sore in the crease on the bottom of his second toe, the one next to the big toe, so it would be the piggy that stayed home and just kept ignoring it. He would go with his wife to her nail place and have his toenails trimmed, and I think that is where the infection probably got him, in when they soaked his feet. He blew it off for a couple of weeks until the wife made him see the doc. It's a good thing she did. The infection had gotten into the bone, so they had to snip his toe off to the first knuckle to catch it before it went any further. The doc said, had he waited any longer, he could have lost the entire foot. He's lucky to just have a stubby piggy, not a stubby leg. Once had an older lady call in wanting a prescription for pain meds because she was sure she had shingles. Said her neighbour had them, and she was sure that is what it was. She hadn't been in for an exam in almost 2 years. So the doctor asked that she come in to be evaluated before a prescription could be given. She refused and called again the next day asking for a prescription. This went on all week, her calling for pain meds, the doctor asking her to come to be seen. She finally agreed to make an appointment. Wasn't shingles. It was a skin ulceration from advanced breast cancer. Had a patient brought in by her son who took care of her. When she arrived to our unit, I performed a skin assessment, took off her socks and found a fallen-off gangrenous toe. Seems fake, and I wish this was, but it was by far the nastiest thing I've witnessed. Son said he had no idea when his mother's foot. My cousin is a pathologist assistant and was telling me about how she had to dissect a testicle that was 11 pounds. Turns out it was testicular cancer. Children's nurse here. My first week in paediatric, we had a young girl, 6/7, come in with a really swollen jaw/face. Poor girl was unable to move her jaw without intense pain and hadn't been able to eat for several days. Turns out she'd only just started cleaning her teeth for the first time ever and managed to develop several abscesses and rotten teeth in the process. To make it worse, her mum told us she was recovering from the same procedures to remove most of her teeth because of almost the same thing. They didn't want to bother the, as they thought she was just messing about to get out of school. We once had a patient who went to emergency for abdominal pain, and they discovered a fungating breast wound and image searched that she'd had for 2 years and hadn't gotten medical attention for. A biopsy and a PET scan later She was diagnosed with breast cancer with extensive liver, lung and bone mets. This was also in Australia, so it wasn't a money issue. Sad.